And we're live.
Welcome everyone to Heart Talk, coming to you every Tuesday from Kuala Lumpur at 10 p.m. And tonight our topic is taking the stigma out of mental health. And with us tonight is our guest, Samantha Sam. I'm going to ask her to give you some background about about her background and so on as we go along. So let me start, Samantha, because Samantha, mental health is a subject that's close to your heart and is of concern to you. May I ask, when did this start for you in your life, where mental health became, there is for the longest time a stigma, and there is still a stigma in many quarters, but how did you get involved in this subject?
I discovered a lot about mental health just this couple of years. How I stumbled upon it is because many years ago, I remember, this is my first memory, okay, my personal experience, many years, this is over 20 years ago. I remember there's one occasion I felt that something was really wrong with me, and like my world was slowing down, and I couldn't breathe, and I was still in school that time, and I didn't know what it was. So I thought I was going crazy, and I thought I was really sick, and then it went away, and it didn't really come back. And as years go by, I finished school and I went to work. It was okay. It doesn't really come all the time. And then the past 10 years, it became a little bit more prominent in my life, right? And I love to read. So when I read and I, had more information, I realized, could I be going something psychologically, mentally? But, the time I was I'm a single mother, I never really had time to worry about things like that, right? You have to bring up a child and stuff. So I put it aside, and I just worked through it. And then recently, the past couple of years, I think I had many reflection that I could be going through not just a mental disharmony, but it could be a mental disorder. So before the pandemic, I decided it was really bad. It was getting really bad. I couldn't talk myself out of it. I couldn't do anything out of it. I tried everything, and I went to a therapist. And I do have anxiety, very bad anxiety. And why do I want to take this out of being a stigma is because when I first shared this with my friends many years ago, they didn't believe me. They were like, what are you so anxious about? You look like you've got your life going for you. You don't look like somebody who's anxious, who has a mental imbalance and things like that. It's just worry. Get over it. It's fine and everything. So, and they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. It's just worry. They just tell you it's just worry. Just tell me. And I thought that too, that it's just worry and just worry. And unbeknown to me, after many years of it's just worry, it's become an anxiety, and anxiety has become a disorder.
And how were you diagnosed, or how did you find out that you actually had a so-called problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it was through talk therapy, through the psychologist, where she went through a whole assessment to me, and then it made me realize, because I am perpetually anxious, even where there's no threat, even where there's no problem, even if you analyze that, it's not an issue, I'm still anxious. It's a physical thing. It doesn't just manifest in your mind, it manifests in your body, like your heart is palpitating for no reason, and you can't talk yourself out of, not worrying. You have nothing to worry about, really, right? You're safe. You're in a safe space psychologically and physically and emotionally, but you're just fearful. Your heart is, your body is telling you something.
Mm.
And it gets worse. Sometimes you even think you're not yourself. Sometimes you don't want to get out of the house. You get annoyed very easily. You're not you. You don't even like you anymore.
And do you think that there are other people who go through the same thing like you?
Actually, yes. Actually, this couple of years, that's why I've decided a couple of years ago, I quit my corporate job. I embarked on a journey to be a corporate trainer and a coach, especially focusing on mental wellness. Is because when I start talking to people about it, right, and start digging deeper, you'd be surprised, a lot of people go through it. A lot of people go through it. I'm not the only person. And for people as young as 11, 12 years old, kids as young as 11, 12 years old. And the sad thing is, they don't know what it is. They think it's normal, right? And because they think it's normal, right, I can tell you it will get worse. It will not get better. It will not go away. And why do they think it's normal? Because nobody talk about it.
Yeah.
Especially in this part of the world. Nobody wants to acknowledge or admit that, oh, I'm going through a mental, I don't like to call it mental.
That's the stigma, isn't it?
Yeah, the word mental itself.
That's right. So yeah, how would have you found another way of kind of approaching the subject without that kind of overtone, of mental?
I would just say mind and body imbalance, disharmony. When somebody is anxious or going through a discomfort in their emotional or mental being, it's really the mind and the body is not in sync. Okay, it's not aligned. So it's not. Of course, there are some mental illnesses are biological. Okay,
Right.
like bipolar and schizophrenia, but anxiety and even depression, they are all quite treatable, very treatable, in fact.
So have you, what's the word for it? Are you over that phase now, over that situation, that condition that you have been, is it something you get over and leave behind you?
You can, right? You can, but my own journey, no, I'm still going through it. I'm getting better every day, right?
Say again?
I'm getting better every day. I'm still going through it. I still have anxiety bouts, here and there, actually, sometimes quite often. There are good days, there are bad days, right? There are several ways, to overcome, to heal. First of all, we need to heal, as a person before, otherwise you're just managing and coping with anxiety. Okay, anxiety and stress is always going to be part of our life. Okay, we are not going to escape it. There's no such person, I don't think, in this world who's never gonna worry or stress in their entire life. No such thing. The issue is, how do you manage it? How do you emotionally manage it and do not let it affect you?
So you mentioned healing. As you mentioned healing, I'm just thinking, is there a source of this kind of thing that happens to a person? Is there a reason or something that triggers it or creates it?
Yes, I mean, I've read a lot of books, podcasts, articles, a lot this couple of years during COVID. Now, one thing in common for people who is experiencing anxiety, depression, it all stems back from the childhood. Unfortunately, it might not be traumatic, but it's all something that had happened in their childhood, perhaps stored very very deep in their subconscious. They may not even know about it, but it affects them in their later adult life as chronic stress, as chronic anxiety, as depression. You know, it's something that is deep buried in there that that could surface only later part in life.
And for yourself, how has the healing process been for you? And whether that would be something that could be true of other people also?
I feel that healing can only come from within. Okay, I can only come from within. It's like saying the reason why someone experiences anxiety or depression or a mental disharmony because of something else in someone else. Yeah, that's blaming someone, you know, external factors. That's the main reason why it is there in the first place. But once we learn to heal from within in our own way, that's where, you know, you can overcome it. Otherwise, every day we're just coping with it. This is what I've learned through my journey. And I realize, unbeknown to me, I have been trying to cope with my anxiety probably for the past 20 years. And I wasn't aware of it. Only now, these few years, I have been consciously aware of it. And hence, I believe my process of healing has begun.
Looking back, how has that kind of unconscious anxiety, I suppose you were unconscious, or maybe like we always do, we dismiss it as nothing, you know. How has that affected your life looking back? I mean, from where you are now that you realize you were suffering from that?
I think I did not make a lot of, I made a lot of unwise decisions in my life. Unwise decision that, unfortunately, it wasn't so damaging that you know, it's threatening to my well-being, right? I mean, physically, but yeah, not being aware of it has caused this prolonged experience of anxiety. And because I wasn't aware of it, I couldn't deal with it. It has become a disorder. I think in the beginning it was just you know, there's a difference between anxiety and an anxiety disorder. Right. Anxiety is normal. It's very normal. You have an exam coming, you get anxious, right? There's anxiety. You need to go for a surgery, that's anxiety. Okay? Or even you want to go to a trip around the world, that's good anxiety, right? But once that stressor is over, you don't get anxious anymore. But if we don't address it, right? If we don't address it and we don't know how to manage this becomes your body becomes this natural state of always being anxious, because you feel like you are in a survival mode. You're very defensive all the time, even though there is no threat around you, right? And that becomes a disorder. So because I wasn't aware, it has become a disorder right now that I have to live with every day.
So it created a kind of general disadvantage for you in terms of life.
Yeah.
It sounds as if the anxiety became a habit, even though there was no cause.
Correct.
And although mentally you could see there's no reason for it, you couldn't actually ward off the feeling, which you say it comes from the body, that you can't argue with it, even though intellectually you acknowledge there's no reason for anxiety. That must be agonizing kind of.
It is agonizing because your body is so familiar with that mechanism of protecting yourself, of being defensive, right? So your body automatically do that. Automatically, your heart palpitates, you sweat, you kind of like build a barrier. So this is how your body. So when they say, you know, I read so much, right? When they say that your thoughts affects your feelings, right? Your emotions, and your emotions affect your behavior, right? Actually, it's not 100% true, because your behavior can also affect how you feel, and how you feel can also affect how you think. So it could be either way. It's all interconnected. It's not just that one way.
So you sound as if you're saying that, yes, we understand mind over body, but this mind can't overcome the body. So you are saying that it's also body over mind, in the sense that it's both directions.
Bingo. Bingo. So what I'm trying to say is, personally, I've been trying for this couple of years to use my mind, okay, to control how I feel about what I think, to use my mind, to change positive thinking and all these things. It hasn't worked. So now, right, from all this research, deeper research, it tells me that the new research is another school of thought where, if you have tried this and it doesn't work, you have used your mind to control your body and it doesn't work, now use your body to control your mind. And I've recently started doing that. So I give you an example, like every morning when I get up, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to me. Every morning when I get up, this is part of my anxiety journey. The minute I open my eyes, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm scared about. There's nothing to be scared about. I'm in a safe home, but my heart is palpitating. And I just know I feel fear. Okay. So for the longest time, when I feel fear, what do? We tend to hide, right? So I tend to like, okay, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to face the day. I don't want to face outside. I just want to stay in bed for as long as I can. Hopefully the feeling of fear go away. Now, what I do is I open my eyes and it's like, oh gosh, that feeling of fear is back, because your body is used to it. So what I do is I snap out of it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I get out and I change into my gym stuff. I go to my gym. Or not, I get to work out, but I'm out the door, right? And I just get out the door, get out of bed, get out the door. So that I was like, okay, I feel a bit accomplished. Okay, if I can get out of bed straight away and get out the door and wear my shoes, okay, maybe I'm just going to walk on the treadmill. Maybe I'm going to do yoga. I'm not going to do the same thing again, because when I do the same thing, my body is going to expect to feel the same thing.
Yeah.
So because I've been doing that for the past weeks, I actually feel my energy is different.
Yeah. There's some, I mean, a lot of the opinion out there, and I think some doctors adopt a simple recommendation that if you feel sad, you get active, because your body will, as you say, you can help reset your mind with the body. But what you mentioned about waking up in fear is like you wake up with a dread of the day, you know.
Right. It's
like that can be very, very how do you say, debilitating if you allow it. And it's a chicken and egg situation, isn't it? If you allow it, it gets worse. But if it gets worse, how are you going to not allow it and get better, you know? Right. So do you find that support from other people is helpful for you? Oh, very much. I think one of my biggest, and the biggest, not one, the biggest blessing of my life, you know, is having wonderful, supportive people, from my family to my wonderful friends. They're just so supportive. Although some of them may not understand what I'm going through, or may never have been through what I'm going through, you know, but they in their own, each and every one of them in their own way are supportive,
you know,
Mhm.
and sometimes I get a slap in my face or a kick in my ass, like get out of it. And,
Mm.
it's confusing to hear that. It feels like I'm being unsupported, but deep down, I know they do. They never gave up on me. They never
Mm.
left me, right? So that helps. Having supportive people around you help. Whether or not they understand, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Do you um you say that you see this sort of thing happening for a lot of people, right?
Yes.
Is there something that can be done about it? Have you, you know, um, explored solutions for people? Because you went through it, and I suppose you don't want younger people to go through
No.
those decade, 20 years before discovering.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that can be done?
I'm so glad you asked this
Coming back
question.
to taking the stigma out of mental health.
I think first and foremost, right, we have to education. It's awareness. Everybody needs to be educated and be aware that people, let's say, like, come on, if somebody like Oprah Winfrey, who has been sexually abused when she was young, right? And she's now who she is, and she can come up and tell people like, hey, I have been mistreated when I was young. I went through some mental challenges growing up, and look at where I am now. If she can come up and say this, everyone can. So we have to educate them. Don't suffer in silence. There is help. You're not alone. I mean, that's why, like, I come out. I mean, nobody, if I didn't tell you or my
Mm,
friends years ago that I'm suffering from this, or I don't like to use suffer. It's like a bad negative connotation.
right.
I was experiencing this, nobody
Mm,
would believe that I am going through this, right? But it's okay. It's okay. Not just because I'm going through this doesn't mean that I'm sick. It just
mm,
means that something is imbalanced in my mind, in my body,
mm.
right? So that's what I wanted. That's why one of my biggest purpose in life is advocating mental health, and especially in women, empowering women through it, and youth, because I don't want younger, like you say, if I can help them younger, they don't have to go through the same thing I went through for so long,
Mm.
and I believe that, sorry, but I believe women are as powerful as men, if not more powerful. So, and I think women these days in this time and era, they have, they are so much more capable than men. Some of them are breadwinners. They have to give birth to children. They have to take care of the children. They are, better children to their parents than men, right? They are corporate climbing ladies. They are, thought leaders. Oh my gosh, they have to carry the baby for 9 months. Isn't that a lot more to do than men?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, a lot of women can be empowered if only they knew, but they suffer a lot more too because they do a lot more. Right.
Okay. So thank you for kind of shedding a light on this, because I think maybe um, we make a deal out of coping, because being unable to cope sounds like it's weakness or incompetence. And I think that's where the trap is, that very few people will acknowledge that sometimes if you cannot cope, then you need help. So let's pause there. Peggy, and hand over to Peggy to
Yes.
make some announcements on the programs that we have coming up. I think there are 2 announcements. So Peggy, go ahead if you have a
Yeah.
share or something to put in the comment. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So first of all, thank you, Samantha. It is very sweet hit home for me that you are not alone. Yeah. So on the note of you are not alone, yes, we do have a coaching evening that if you are really enjoying the session tonight and you would like to know more about coaching and how it can benefit you in life. So yes, come to our coaching evening. You can be either be a coachee or be the observer so that you can observe the space. And hold the space together to support more people. As coaching is not about, I think there's a distinction with therapy, and we will talk more about that on coaching evening as well. So come to us every Monday evening, and we are here in Jayawan at Hard Knocks Global. So yes, that's the first announcement. And the second announcement is our Advanced Living series. So Advanced Living series is a vast topic about awareness. I remember that Samantha mentioned about awareness. And yes, there's a first step that Advanced Living series is a 3-part trainings. And first step is always about awareness, to look into what are the patterns you have created, and also like how Samantha mentioned about childhood. Yes, everything will come out from there, and it's not scary, but because you're not going through this training alone, you have a buddies. So from the first stage, discovering your awareness, and secondly, we have transformation and legacy to walk through 100 days together as a team. So yes, LRS is coming soon and is on May 3rd for our discovery training, and I'll put all the details in the comment. And anyway, if you would like to reach out to Sam, Samantha, we do have a way to contact her, and I'll send up to the comment section as well. Thank you, KH and Samantha, and go back to you.
Thank you, Peggy. So Samantha, back to you. Perhaps you can have the last word of tonight's evening, tonight's session, and maybe summarize how you feel, given where you are now, and in terms of what you would like to see change or be done out there, and as you say, with also especially children or students, and maybe by expressing that is one way of raising awareness. And I think maybe because of what you say, other people may find that, wow, I feel the same way, and there'll be more voices speaking out rather than suppressed. So perhaps a last word from you before we close.
Thank you, KH. I would like to plead to every single one who's listening in, that if you know anybody, or you or your family is going through some sort of emotional or mental disharmony, don't be afraid. It's okay not to be okay. Reach out to someone, because you don't have to live with it forever. Nobody has to. You always remember, we have a choice. We always have a choice. And when we choose to be better, someone out there will help us be better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for following our Heart Talk. We'll be back next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Malaysia. And I want to thank Samantha tonight for being, how do you say, for being vulnerable and courageous to share what would otherwise be stigmatized for the longest time. And I think you're right, Samantha, things are changing and people are beginning to recognize, and the science has followed up. I didn't want to, I forgot to say some of these things, but the science has shown the connection between body, mind, thought, emotion, and their interrelations, both ways, as you pointed out, because it is both ways. And because of that, I think some of the old beliefs about mental health, about judging people for mental strength and so on, should kind of like be put aside, and we can actually improve the quality of our lives.
Yeah.
And which is what I have, which is what I now do in my life, because I used to be a lawyer, I'm no longer one. So I'm now an illegal advisor, so to speak. And so thank you, Samantha, for being with us and sharing your insights. And thanks, Peggy, for holding the show together. So ladies and gentlemen, we bid you good night. See you next Tuesday. Be ready to be surprised by whoever turns up as our guest.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing from you in your comments. So thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you.